Hello everyone, welcome to day 32 of our math. So we are going to continue working on the topic of perimeter and going to be doing a little something different with it. So we're going to start with going over the solve and share. So if you have not done it yet, go ahead and do that so then you are able to check your work. And we're going to be looking at lesson 16, point 2, which is perimeter of common shapes. So I can find the perimeter of polygons and common shapes. So our solve and share is what is the perimeter of the rectangle? Show two ways to find the perimeter other than measuring. So I have my shape right here. This is where I'm going to find my first way and my second way. So I know that this shape is a rectangle. They told me that it was a rectangle. And rectangles mean that the opposite sides are the same length. So I can essentially know that because this is 3 inches, this is also 3 inches. And because this is 5 inches, this is also 5 inches. So knowing that, I can say, all right, well, I have 5 plus 3, which gives me 8, and 5 plus 3 over here, which also gives me 8. 8 plus 8 gives me 16. So 16 inches is the perimeter of my rectangle. Now another way that I can do this is I know that I have 5 inches 2 times. So I can say 5 times 2, which will give me 10. I can also say I have 3 2 times. So I can say 3 times 2, which will give me 6. If I add together 10 plus 6, I get 16. So my perimeter is again 16 inches. So here are two strategies on how I can find the perimeter of a rectangle. All right, let's look at our guided practice. It says, how can you find the perimeters of common shapes? Mr. Coe needs to find the perimeter of 2 swimming pool designs. One pool shape is a rectangle, the other pool shape is a square. So our work that we did on quadrilaterals is not going away. We need to continue to use that knowledge. And using that knowledge tells us that we know that a square has all sides being the same length, which is why they can give us the length 9 meters, and we can know that this side is 9 meters, this side is 9 meters, this side is 9 meters, and this side is 9 meters. So let's look right here. B, find the shape of a pool that has a rectangle shape. So you can see that they decided to do similar to the strategy that I just used in the solve and share, 10 plus 6 plus 10 plus 6 to get 32. So they added together all the sides. Or they said, okay, I know I have 2 10s, so 10 times 2. And I know that I have 2 6s, so 6 times 2 to get 32. So the perimeter of this rectangular pool is 32 meters, and we need to know the opposite sides of a rectangle are the same length to help us, because our original only told us that this side was 10 and this side was 6. But what we know about rectangles can help us figure out the side length of the other sides. Now C is find the perimeter of the pool that has a square shape. So, like I said, squares, all 4 sides are the same length. So we can put a 9 on each side, meaning we can say 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, or we can say there are 4 sides with a length of 9, 4 times 9, and both answers will give us 36. So the perimeter of a pool is 36. We can do this for other shapes too. So another example is an equilateral triangle. So if we look at this triangle, all 3 of our sides are the same length. So if we were only given one side, the bottom being 4 inches, we can know that the other 2 sides are also 4 inches. And we can figure out by adding together all 3 of those numbers by saying 4 plus 4 plus 4. Or we can say there are 3 sides that are 4 inches in length, 3 times 4 gives us 12. Either way, we're going to figure out that the perimeter of this equilateral triangle is 12 inches. So I went through that kind of quickly, but let's go ahead and look into our guided practice questions. So number 1, how can you use multiplication and addition to find the perimeter of a rectangle with a length of 6 feet and a width of 4 feet? I out my shape right here, and I have my 6 feet, 4 feet, and I'm going to be using addition and multiplication. So what I know about a rectangle is opposite sides are the same length. So I can go ahead and put 6 feet right here, and I can put 4 feet down here because of what I know about what a rectangle is. So if I want to use addition and add these together, I can say 6 plus 4, which will give me 10. And then I need to add my other ones, 6 plus 4, which will give me 10. And 10 plus 10 gives me 20. So 20 feet is the perimeter using addition. I can also use multiplication. So if I want to use multiplication, I can say, well, I know right here that the length is 6 feet. I know that two sides are 6 feet, so I can do 6 times 2. 6 times 2 will give me 12. Now I know that 8 feet, gave it away. 4 feet is our width, and I know that I have 2 of those. So I can do 4 times 2 to give me 8. 12 plus 8 also gives me 20, so I have 20 feet. So I have found 20 feet using multiplication and addition. It's important to know that when you're multiplying one of the sides by how many sides also have that same length. If I wanted to do multiplication and I did 6 times 4 and I got 24, this is giving me the area, not perimeter. So 24 tells me how much is inside. 20 feet tells me the distance on the outside, which is the perimeter. Okay, so that's super important to note that you can use multiplication, but you need to be using multiplication correctly so you understand what it is asking you. Perimeter is the distance around the outside, not the area of what is inside. Explain how you can find the perimeter of a square with a side length of 7 centimeters. All right. So let's start with my square right here. And it's not a perfect square, but we know it's a square. And one of the sides is 7 centimeters. So what I know about a square is that each side is going to be the same length. So if I know one side, then I know that this is also 7 centimeters, this is also 7 centimeters, and this is also 7 centimeters. Now there are 2 ways that I can solve this. I can know, all right, all the sides are the same length, so now I can add them and say 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. 7 plus 7 gives me 14. This 7 plus 7 gives me 14. And 14 plus 14 gives me 28 centimeters. I can also say one of my sides is 7 centimeters. Because all the sides are the same length, I have my 7 centimeters multiplied by how many sides we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 7, and that gives you 28. So I'm able to know based off one side that all the others are 7 centimeters because a square has 4 sides that are the same length. So that is how I am able to do that. Let's look at numbers 3 and 4. It says find the perimeter. So let's start with number 3, which is a rectangle. And it's important that it's telling us what shape we're finding because we want to be able to make sure that we're using those rules. So for my rectangle, I can see that the top part is 4 feet and the side is 8 feet. So knowing my rules for rectangles, I know that my opposite sides are the same length. So knowing that, I can say, all right, well, if this side is 8 feet, over here will also be 8 feet. And knowing right up here that is 4 feet, down here will also be 4 feet. So now I can say I'm going to add all of those together. So I have 8 plus 4 plus 8 plus 4. 8 plus 4 gives me 12, and 8 plus 4 gives me 12. So now I need to add those together. 12 plus 12 gives me 24, and I'm working in the measurement of feet. So the perimeter of this rectangle is 24 feet. And remember, this is just one way to do it. We also can use multiplication, which we'll do for our next one, which is using a square. So number 4 has us finding the perimeter of this shape, or this square. So I have a square, and I know that one side of the square is 5 centimeters. So here we go. I have my 5 centimeter square. So I can say, well, what I know about a square is all sides are the same length. And if I know that all sides are the same length, then I can know that, well, if this is 5 centimeters, then this is 5 centimeters, this is 5 centimeters, and this is 5 centimeters. I can also say I have 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, that are all 5 centimeters. So 4 times 5 will give me 20 centimeters, which is my perimeter. This is also the same thing if I wanted to use addition as saying 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. It's just repeated addition. So, using that knowledge, you now have, some questions to answer independently. And while answering these questions, you can either use multiplication or use addition, or try both of them out. So find a strategy that is comfortable for you, but remember that you are finding the perimeter, which means the outside of the shape. You are not finding area. All right, good luck.